Hello, my friend.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the Chit Chat with Dima and Rob. Hello, everyone. Welcome for joining us today. As you realize, Rob is not here, but we have an amazing guest, and I cannot wait for our wonderful guest to share with you about her journey, her story, and so many powerful, inspirational messages. So our guest today is Whitney Breaux. So Whitney, welcome. Tell us about yourself and your journey. Tell us everything.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. It's an exciting opportunity just to share a little bit about myself and my journey, but also to hopefully interact and engage with folks as well. So my name is Whitney Breaux. I am a proud lifelong resident of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I say that proudly because Baton Rouge is home for me, but is also an important part of who I am as a person. I graduated undergrad from LSU here in town, and then also got my MBA from LSU as well, and began a really exciting career after I finished my undergrad degree in communications and in marketing. And I have always had a passion for communicating and also sharing important messages through platforms and channels. And so I started that actually by working at Visit Baton Rouge. So I said Baton Rouge was an important piece of my story, and it is. That was my first job out of college. I was able to promote my hometown and the city that I love to the rest of the world. And then I went on to work at a communications agency here in town, and then also having the opportunity to join Eli Lilly and Company in 2011. So I am excited to celebrate soon my 10-year anniversary with Lilly. I've had an exciting and dynamic career that's been shaped with experiences in sales, information, technology, marketing, global marketing, market research. And today I actually serve as the COO of our Lilly Biomedicine's global marketing division. And it's a great, great organization and functional area where we work together to make life better for people around the world. In my spare time, when I have that kind of time, I'm a mom to an amazing 12-year-old all-sport athlete. And I'm also a big yogi, like to get out and do some yoga, as well as travel the world. So collecting passport stamps and working in foreign countries is a real passion of mine, as well as Orange Theory. I like to close the circles on my Apple Watch, which is also a good time and a lot of fun. And of course, I love watching LSU football. It has been something that my parents, my dad was a big football fan, taught me a lot about the game. And it's actually interesting. I take a lot of the lessons from collegiate athletics and from football and apply it in many aspects of my life, including business. So go Tigers, big LSU Tiger football fan. And but most importantly, I'm a woman who's on a journey in finding who I am, in hopes of also inspiring others who may be along a similar path.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is wonderful. It's so inspirational. I had no idea you worked for Visit Baton Rouge. And now when I look at your journey with background in marketing and communication, and now what our audience are going to hear about your purpose and the mission that you're working on right now, it's just interesting how it all comes together, and it makes so much sense.
It does. And that is something that I've learned this year, unlike any other, is that each of us are being blessed and given many different experiences throughout our lives, and in hopes that maybe we'll one day understand why all of those experiences have shaped who we are and who we've become. And for me, I found that out this year, and it's really exciting.
Yeah. So you started mentioning about this year, and I'm sure many people are curious to learn about what happened this year. So tell us what happened in March for you.
Well, 2020 started out really good. LSU won the National Football Championship and got to celebrate a big win. And as I kind of moved into February and then into March, I was being given such exciting career opportunities. I was supposed to leave March 7th to head to Johannesburg, South Africa for an 8-week short-term assignment where I was for a company launch one of our important molecules. But on March 13th, our children here in Louisiana or in Baton Rouge were sent home for what we thought would be maybe an extended spring break. Obviously, that turned into something much longer and much different as the COVID-19 pandemic began to impact and affect us here in the United States quite extensively. My trip to Johannesburg, South Africa was canceled. On March 13th, my son came home from school with his backpack, lots of things in his bag. And we were playing on the couch that night. And I was fighting him over the TV remote. We like to play fight every now and again. And my left arm stretched across my body to grab that TV remote. And although I did come back with the remote because I wanted to watch what mom wanted to watch on TV that night, I also came back with something different, something I had never felt before on the inside of my left arm. I pulled my arm back and I began to touch my left breast, thinking that, well, maybe whatever I felt on the inside of my arm was the underband of my sports bra or nothing at all. As I began to explore my left breast, I began to feel some very hard and multiple lumps that I couldn't find in my right breast. And I think at that moment, my heart, it sunk. I did not know exactly what it was, but I knew that it wasn't good in that moment. That following Monday, I visited my OBGYN and thus began a weeks-long process, testing and of evaluations, biopsies. And on March 20th, that morning, I actually got a call from my now boss, our chief marketing officer, to congratulate me on being promoted to the role that I currently have as the COO of global marketing. Super, super exciting. I've worked so hard my entire career to prove myself, to demonstrate that I had the skills and capabilities to lead and to have an impact, a positive impact on our organization. Later that morning, I also closed on my new favorite home here in Baton Rouge, an exciting thing for me and my son, a place that we really felt we could call home for the foreseeable future. But later that afternoon, I was expecting a call. And at about 5:03 p.m., a number that I had barely recognized appeared. And I knew it was my doctor calling me with the results of my biopsy. And in that moment, he said, "Whitney, this is your doctor. I'm sorry, it's cancer." And I think all I could say in response was, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir," at every piece of information that he was sharing with me, including the fact that he wanted me to come into his office the next day on a Saturday morning in order to talk more about my diagnosis. And I think all of the thoughts of everything that I had worked so hard for and wanted to experience in 2020, that one phone call changed my life for forever. I broke down after that call. I cried in my driveway because I just didn't understand what was happening and why me. The height of everything that I have worked so hard for, that this new challenge and this life and death situation was being presented to me to now have to manage. That was a really hard day for me. And the ensuing journey and experience that I've had since that time has really challenged me to dig deep and really evaluate what was important to me. Who am I beyond the work that I do every day and the people that I get the great opportunity to work with? But what impact, what meaning had all of these experiences leading up to this moment? What did they mean? And how would I use them in this moment where I felt like everything was lost. I was lucky enough to be able to find some peace and to find some opportunity in turning the corner, and in hopes of inspiring others and warning other women and increasing awareness of breast cancer. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. That is an astonishing statistic for me. And it led me to start Day 18 in the hopes of spreading awareness and increasing visibility of breast cancer through my journey, to encourage other women to perform self-breast exams on the 18th day of each month.
And I see that on your shirt. So it's already branded. It's already branded.
In true marketer fashion.
Yes. So let's talk about, before we talk about Day 18, what you explained is such a powerful story. It's very shocking, especially at a time when we were starting the pandemic. So I'm sure you were thinking, oh my goodness, like, why now? Like, the pandemic is starting, and all the social distancing, and who would want to be at a healthcare facility during that time as well? So you mentioned, as part of the things you were talking about, is it forced you to think about a process or journey of self-discovery, discovering who you are, what is your identity. Tell us about that, because sometimes, as if we need a major shock in our lives to pause and to get off of the treadmill of life, of the next goal, the next hope, and to pause and say, what is the meaning of all of that? So tell us more.
So in being diagnosed with cancer, I like to consider myself a pretty healthy person. I kind of talked a little bit about that. Like, I love to work out. I think I like to take good care of myself. And I think when you're diagnosed with breast cancer, and as a woman, you begin to wonder, what did I do wrong? How did this happen to me? What did I miss? How did I miss this for so long? And I really felt like the best thing that I needed to do in that moment was to stop, was to reflect, was to consider, what had I missed? And I have to be honest with you, I was known as a workaholic. I would host productive conference calls in the shower because I wanted to squeeze every bit of every day into being productive.
Yeah.
And, what I lost in that was, who am I outside of my work? Who am I when the computer shuts down, when the conference calls are over? What do I represent? What is the meaning and the purpose of a career like mine that has been shots all over the place at times? It required me to really take a step back and to say, what does good look like for me? What does happiness? And this was the key question that I had to ask myself. What does happiness feel like?
Wow.
Visualize it.
I need a moment. Oh my God. What happiness feels like. I never heard of that before. Wow.
And it was something, honestly, I had to journal it, because I started to realize that I didn't know what that meant or what that would feel like. I had to really dig deep into who I am, beyond being a former pageant girl in Miss Teen Louisiana, beyond being, a young woman who is, accelerating in a career path. But who am I, and what am I here? What am I here to do during my time on this beautiful planet, and in these experiences with people from all over the world? And what I realized is that I'm here to share a message and to share my journey and my experiences with the blessings of having had the career experiences that helped me to find Day 18 and to found it, and to use it as a platform to reach others in a meaningful way, and to spread awareness of a really chronic, I mean, and I use this word not loosely, but a chronic disease that many of us may know of someone in our distant circles that have been affected by breast cancer. But whenever you look at the statistic, 1 in 8, 1 in 8, you're more likely to meet a woman who will be diagnosed with breast cancer or has been diagnosed than you are to get a speeding ticket. That is incredible.
That's another thing I didn't think about before. Oh,
it's an astonishing statistic. And I know that many women who maybe have been impacted by this disease haven't felt comfortable sharing their story. It is a personal journey and experience. I mean, I used to have very long hair, a key defining characteristic of who I thought I was. You know, I had to have a double mastectomy as part of my my treatment plan. And that requires you as a woman to really understand and to have to move past, you know, some of the defining pieces of who we are as women. I'm grateful for that now, looking back on it, because again, it helped me to dig deeper than the things on the surface, to the things that are in a resume, to say, who is Whitney and what is she here on this earth to do? And I feel so blessed to have found Day 18 as my calling in increasing awareness of breast cancer, and especially through early detection. You know, Dima, I have to say this, my cancer had been growing for at least a year by the time that I discovered it. But in the fast pace of my life and in traveling and in work, I wasn't taking care of me by performing those self-breast exams. It was something that was the furthest thing from my mind. And because of that, I missed it for a year. I found this for me so much sooner. My treatment plan could have looked different. My options, my outlook on survival could have been better.
Yeah.
And that for me is like that pause moment to say, as women, as men, as people, taking care of us is so critically important. And one of the best ways that women can do that is by performing a self-breast exam on the 18th day of each month.
Yes. So you got to learn this year such a powerful, life-changing lesson at a young age. You're still so young. Many times we assume that this is going to happen to women that are older in age, but it can happen to all of us.
Yeah, about 6% of the women that will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year will be under the age of 40. And for most people, for most insurance companies, you will not qualify for a mammogram until you turn 40, unless you have a family history of the disease or some other indicator that you might be at a high risk. No family history of breast cancer. I had no idea that I was a carrier of the RAD50 gene mutation. And so that limited my ability to have access to a mammogram. I would have been another 8 years. I was 32 when I was diagnosed. Another 8 years before my first mammogram. So early detection is so critically important for women that are under 40.
Yeah. So this leads the conversation into Day 18. If our audience, they're not inspired so far, I don't know what would inspire them, but let's talk about Day 18. You referred to it earlier, and this is part of your purpose. This is part of your mission in life. Tell us more, and tell us what do you want women to do? What do you want men to inspire women to do as well?
You know, Day 18, honestly, Dima, and this is the God's honest truth. Day 18 was born out of my anger and my depression of being diagnosed with breast cancer. And my anger was at the fact that I did not know that I was at risk. I didn't know. I didn't fully appreciate that this is something that could impact me. And I was angry at me. I was angry at myself as to, I work in the healthcare industry, you know, I'm well educated. Like, how did I not know? I perceived breast cancer as a white woman's disease. That is who I saw portrayed in media, entertainment. My white girlfriends were the ones that were talking about breast cancer. It wasn't a discussion that I saw among women that looked like me. And I was angry about that. And so with Day 18, as a marketer and as a communicator, that's where I dug into an unmet need that I identified so personally with, to say, what would it take in order to get the attention of maybe Whitney from 2018 to say, hey, girlfriend, I know you're busy and I know you've got a lot of great things going on that you're excited about and that you're pushing through, but your health is more important than anything else that you may want to do or that you're doing. And so with Day 18, it truly is, it's a call to action for women to take their self-care and their self exams into their own hands, with a bit of a reminder message, a little catchiness to it, as a reminder that 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. But specifically, I'm asking women on the 18th day of every month to make the pledge to perform a self-breast exam. You can do this in the shower. You can do this while lying down in bed. It takes only about 5 minutes to do it. But if you should discover anything at all, most women will discover their breast cancer through self-breast exams, not through the traditional mammograms or even an exam performed by a physician. But by taking that step on the 18th day of each month, you become your own best health advocate, because then you can alert your physician to any abnormalities that you might discover. And in most cases, if you were to discover an abnormality, most of the time those abnormalities are benign, or they are non-cancerous tissue masses or dense breast tissue. Those 1 in 8 women, if you can discover that abnormality early enough, you increase your chances of survival. You help to diversify your treatment opportunities and plans. And ultimately, you are able to be your best advocate to alert your physician to that information. Without it, Dima, I honestly wonder how much longer I could have gone, or how much more advanced my cancer could have been, had I not randomly reached for that TV remote on a Friday the 13th in 2020. And learned, and discovered it. I was not performing self-breast exams, and I'm angry.
Even when you were wearing your clothes or taking off your clothes, you still did not feel anything.
I didn't. And we're talking about 6-centimeter tumor was the largest one that I had. And I missed it. In the throes of everything, I missed it. But I know that if I had been performing self-breast exams on the 18th day of each month, I do feel good. I feel like I would have caught it much sooner.
So what's the resemblance of number 18? Is it because 1 of 8 women, or is there something that happened on the 18th of March, maybe? What?
Absolutely. It is the 1 in 8. It's the 1 in 8 women, that statistic. When I saw that statistic for the first time, I'm thinking to myself, 1 in 8? That's a huge number to me. I mean, I started calculating like my friends on Facebook, and I'm like, okay, if 50% are women, and then I run the 1 in 8, I mean, that's 600 Facebook friends of mine that would be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. I mean, I can't even conceive of how prevalent breast cancer is. So the 1 in 8 is a reminder. It's a homage in the Day 18. And there's also a bit of a story to it because of my love of LSU football. We frequently honor every year one or two athletes on the team, on the football team, with a distinguished number 18, representing someone who exhibits leadership and the values of the program. So there's a little bit of a to my favorite football team as well.
Okay, so Day 18, and now we are getting close to Day 18. Today is December 9th. So we encourage everybody who is joining, the women and the men that are watching, encourage the women in your lives to take action and to do self-exam.
Absolutely. And Dima, one of the best ways to do that, I tell people all the time, grab your cell phone right now and actually add it as a calendar reminder in your phone so that you don't forget and so that it becomes a reoccurring habit each and every month. So right now, everybody, let's take out our phones, go ahead and lock it in on the 18th day of each month. Remind yourself to perform a self-breast exam. And I encourage you to ask a friend or two to do the same.
Yeah, maybe more than two. More than one.
Maybe more than two, yes. Those that you love, absolutely.
Maybe what they can do is follow you on social media. You're on Instagram. So tell us how they can follow you on social media, because if they follow you on social media, they're not going to forget Day 18. There's going to be so many posts leading to Day 18 every month and the day off. So let's talk about that. How can they follow you?
So absolutely, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, both of those same name, at Day 18 Campaign. So at Day 18 Campaign. And you're right, we do post a lot of content. We've also got some amazing partnerships with groups like Women's Hospital here in Baton Rouge. We also have a great relationship with Mary Bird Perkins, Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Center, the Louisiana Cancer Prevention programs. And our whole ask each month is that women perform those self-breast exams. And so with our partners, we share credible information from factual sources on how do you perform those self-breast exams and what should you do if you find any abnormalities or if you discover anything. What are those best next steps? So following us on Twitter and on Instagram at Day 18 is how you can stay connected and of course be reminded and learn more information about the fight against breast cancer in our community.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about Black women, where you thought this is a white women's disease, which is interesting because I know the marketing and everything, you may just see white women. So let's talk about the statistics related to Black women and what have you found related to this?
In true marketer fashion, during a late night anger session at what had happened to me, I invested a good bit of time into some secondary market research. I wanted to understand how did I not understand that breast cancer impacted Black women the way that it does? And in fact, Dima, although white women are more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer, Black women are twice as likely to die from the disease. And one of the important factors in that is that our cancer is oftentimes discovered in the later stages and the disease has progressed significantly. That is exactly what happened to me. I was late stage 3. My cancer was prevalent throughout my left breast. And like I said, it had been growing for up to a year. A lot of times in the African American and the Black community, there's not as much openness to sharing journeys about illness, not just cancer, but about many illnesses, because it's seen as this may happen to you because you've done something bad, or historically, there's just so many negative connotations associated with chronic illnesses and diseases. And so you don't hear a lot about it. It's not talked about as much in the living rooms and around the dinner table or between moms and daughters in the Black community. And we've even found through studies that a lot of times some physicians may not have as many conversations with their Black patients about breast cancer as they do with their white patients. So the perception is certainly one that I had, but it's also one that is pervasive throughout various community groups. And I know that there's a lot of work to be done in order to help there. And there's a lot of great nonprofits and other organizations that are zeroing in on how do we overcome that stigma and those challenges for the safety and for the lives of so many women that could be negatively impacted by waiting to have a physician further examine an abnormality that they may have discovered. It's so important that we take our health into our own hands.
Yes. Wow. What you said is just so powerful. Your purpose is so much needed. We all need it. And I'm still shocked of the one out of 8 women that they will be diagnosed with breast cancer. So Let's talk about something that's going on right now. So you are in two places at the same time, right? So you're part of an award. You're receiving an award
Yes.
this second, and you are talking to me. So you're in two places at the same time. Tell us about the award. Tell us more about what's happening in the other place.
The beauty of 2020, and as we are all learning to operate in a virtual environment. So tonight I am so fortunate and grateful to have been recognized by Tiffany Dickerson with 4 brands, 1 woman. She started a recognition in 2019, recognizing women, as she calls it, her Women Crush Wednesdays. And on Wednesdays each month, she would recognize women that she saw doing really amazing things in our community or that inspired her. And so I was very fortunate earlier this summer to have been recognized in her, I think it was the July Women Crush Wednesday recognition. And then from all of the recognitions throughout the year, she selects 12. And a panel of women helped us select 12 women that are recognized, again, for inspiring and for motivating others. And I'm certainly grateful for that. I certainly didn't, start Day 18 or initiate my work around breast cancer for any reward or recognition other than the opportunity to hopefully save lives. Yeah. I'm very grateful to her for her kind words and for the opportunity to be recognized for some of the work that has been accomplished this year. So it's really exciting. There's 11 other incredible women that are being recognized this evening as well. And we were able to tape that earlier last month. And so tonight it's airing live.
Yeah, I love it. Everything you said sounds wonderful. And I love that we can now with 2020, one of the blessings is all the virtual stuff that we're able to do. And we can be in multiple places at the same time, just like you are.
That's right. And hey, we're getting really good at it, right? Like we're all over the place and the technology is improving. I think 2020 hopefully is teaching all of us the art of the possible and things that we thought we never could do. Hopefully this year we're pushing ourselves a little bit more to say, man, maybe it is possible. Maybe I can make that happen. I know I've had to do that many times.
I have to share with you, in addition of being such an inspirational woman with a big purpose, you're good with words. The art of the possible. I never heard that before. You said something earlier too. I was like, wow, that sounds so good. The art of the possible. I love it.
I have to say, I like reading books and different things, and Art of the Possible was one that really inspired me to think outside of the box and to challenge myself to say, hey, have I really explored every possibility? Have I thought through that process? Have I pushed myself to consider how much further something could go or how much better something could be? And I think that's an attitude that I take with me into what I do every day. I like to challenge the status quo, like to do things differently most of the time, in hopes that, hey, if it's a new experience or something groundbreaking or innovative, that it can push us further and further beyond what we ever thought could be the norm. And that's something I enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. You were talking earlier about discovering your identity and how when you were initially discovered the cancer, how that was a major shock of your identity and you as a woman and what we define is the beauty of women and how we project ourselves to the world. So what advice do you have to women in addition to doing the self-exam on the 18th of every month and following you on social media? But what did you learn from this journey that you want to share with others?
That's a really good question, Dima. And honestly, what I would share with women now, having gone through what I've experienced, and I have to remind myself of this too pretty often, is the importance of self-care. Taking the time to take care of you. Because without doing that and without understanding what does self-care look like for you, for every woman and for every person, it's different. For me, it includes mindfulness and meditation. It includes taking walks and runs outside. One of my favorite places to do that is in downtown Baton Rouge at the Levee. And it's also journaling, and it's being reflective of, how am I feeling today? What am I grateful for? You know, what more is it that I want to accomplish? And again, what will that feel like? One of my favorite questions a mentor asked me that first I think helped to push me in this thinking was, what will it feel like when you achieve your goals? And for me, I had to pause for a moment to answer that question, because that one was like deep. I was like, whoa, that's a deep one. I came away with 3 words. For me, when I achieve my goals, whether that's personally or professionally, I'm going to be excited because I enjoy a good adventure. I love anything that's going to shake things up and that's going to, you know, be a first time experience, or, you know, something that's going to get my adrenaline pumping. I'm excited for that. And I want to make sure that whenever I achieve my goals, I have that feeling. I'm going to feel limitless.
Yeah.
Being constrained in any way, I'm a true Sagittarius in this fashion, I almost get like claustrophobic in that moment. Like, I want to know that the possibilities are endless. And as long as I'm doing my part, I want to know that I can go and achieve and do whatever my little heart or my mind begins to think is of interest. But the last one is one that I will say 2020 has helped me to round out. So I want to be excited. I want to feel limitless, but I also want to be whole. I want to be whole. I don't want to be one dimensional. I don't want to have a sole focus on only one aspect of my life. Like I said, I'm a mom. I'm a career woman. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an aunt. I'm a friend. These are all very important pieces of who I am as a whole person. And this year has helped me to truly dig into that and to appreciate it and to know what that means for me.
Yeah.
I challenge people to even ask themselves, what will it feel like when you achieve your goals? And really reflect on it and think on it. And it may change for you over time. But for me, it's going to be exciting, limitless, and whole.
Wow. Exciting, limitless, and whole. And hopefully you were able to also answer your question of, how does happiness feel like? So that was, you were talking about it earlier. So in addition to these wonderful 3 messages you shared, how does happiness feel like?
Happiness feels just like this. and it's so interesting, Dima, because, you know, there may not be a definition. I know I may be good with words sometimes, but honestly, for me, I have learned what that feels like in moments. I can remember so vividly being on the beach in Ibiza, Spain in 2019, and at the crack of dawn, running and jumping on the beach as the sun was rising, and just feeling free and feeling joy and happiness that I had not felt before. I felt that this year when I rang the bell after I finished chemo, because it was just such a feeling of, man, I did it, and I did it in my way, with my smile on my face. And that is what happiness feels like for me. It's sometimes not necessarily something I can describe, but man, I can pinpoint those moments where I know that was exactly what it was. I was happy.
Wow. You know, I want to link it to what you were talking about earlier, where most of the time we're just so busy, we don't experience enough these moments because we're ready for the next goal. We're ready for bigger happiness, for more material things, more exciting things. And we end up missing these moments, whether they're small or big, of true joy.
Absolutely. And that's where mindfulness comes in. I have to be, I mean, I didn't start a mindfulness practice probably until about 2018. And I kind of went in and out of the activity and, would only use it whenever I would get stressed. But when I made it a daily habit, and when I allowed myself to begin to dig deeper into who I am and what I represent and what's important for me, it helped me to have the capacity mentally to know when I am experiencing happiness. And in 2020, with everything that we've all experienced and the challenges, the mental health and the fatigue and just all of the things that we've had to individually and as a world work through, I find at least that mindfulness is my way of having my calm and creating the space in my own brain to have those appreciations for those moments where happiness does exist. And then to journal about it and reflect on it has helped me to go back to those moments of happiness when maybe I was having a down day, and I had them. I had those days where I didn't know if I could pull myself out of bed. I didn't know if the next step was going to be one that was going to hurt worse than the previous step. And I didn't know if I was going to make it. There were days where I said, is the ending of my story a bit of a tragedy? But because I could reflect on those moments of happiness, it helped to pull me through some of my darkest days. And for that, I'm grateful.
Wow. Wow. I mentioned to you earlier before our show how I was following your journey, and my impression was like you're a strong woman. You're so determined. You ensured that you went through it. But most of the time, we don't see the painful days you were talking about. We don't see the depression. We don't see the real experience. We're just looking at social media with everything looking so perfect and empowering. And this is the image that I got when I was watching you. So let's talk about that. What came to your mind as I was mentioning this experience observing your journey?
Definitely what comes to mind were that I did have good days, and I also had really bad days. I had hard days. And I really wanted to try to communicate that. I wanted to be open and very vulnerable with my experience because I did feel like it was important to balance any perception of, strength or motivation or inspiration with the reality of the moment when I'm being wheeled out of the waiting room to head to surgery for my double mastectomy. And in that moment, I panicked in the hallway and needed a few minutes before we went because, Dima, at 32, I don't think that I ever thought anything about my life would be permanent, that anything would be forever changing. And in that moment, I said to myself, this is the moment where everything changes forever.
Yeah.
And I'll never see these boobies or tatas again. And that was really, really hard for me. But I also woke up from that surgery and I took those steps forward to keep going. And I sing a song to myself from a Disney movie. Whenever I am having a hard day, Kristen Chenoweth would sing from Frozen 2, the next right thing. That's what I focused on. It's, I don't want to get out of bed today. I'm not feeling like I'm a woman anymore. But hey, if I can just put my feet on the floor, if I can stand up, that's the next right thing. If I can go brush my teeth, that's the next right thing. All right, go get some water and maybe put on some coughing. That's the next right thing. And that helped me. And I wish I could if I could ever tell her, I'm like, girlfriend, I love Frozen 2 because that one song has really helped me to just in my mind think through what's the next right thing today. So those dark days, they exist. And, I want to be clear, they're not over. I still have them. I saw a really impactful meme just the other day from another breast cancer survivor. I had to post it. But she said, recovery, managing my emotions in recovery is harder than managing it during treatment ever was.
Wow.
Is absolutely true for me. So during these days where I have self-doubt, where I'm not as confident as some people might see or think that they see, I just keep thinking, okay, what's the next right thing, Whit? Let's get to it. And ultimately, I think I get through the day and get back up on my feet.
Focusing on the one next step, something positive. So Rob, I'm glad that you're joining us, and you came at the right time. The whole show today has been so inspiring. Every single thing that we're hearing from Whitney. So Whitney, meet Rob. I don't think you know each other.
But I love stuff in the background, Rob. I'm all for that.
Look, I was so upset. I was so upset that I wasn't going to be able to make tonight. I had another commitment, and me and Dima had to talk about it, and I'm so sorry, but it ended early. And as soon as I was off that call, I was like, yes, there's still time. So I'm so excited to see you, and I knew it was going to be impactful. When I have friends telling me before a show starts that, oh yeah, I love me so many. I will definitely be tuning in. I know that I'm about to meet some amazing people, and so Whitney, I look, I know a little bit about your struggle, and thank you so much for sharing that as well as just a little bit. I heard the next right thing. Well, that's kind of powerful, just a little bit powerful. But can you talk about like the effort it takes to get up and put the pot of coffee on? Because that is not, we took that for granted, right? And now that's coming back full force. Can you kind of just, can you be real with us and tell us what kind of energy it takes just to do the next right thing? Because that is not always as easy as it is to say.
There's no doubt about it. And, you know, I can remember even again in some of the more recent days where I kind of like lay there in bed and I look up and I'm thinking to myself, man, how am I going to do this today? Like nothing seems to be going right. I'm in pain. I'm hurting. And, you know, Rob, honestly, as an African-American woman, culturally speaking, we have always been conditioned to get up and go and do, and to not let whatever is affecting you inside, whether that's mentally or physically, you're not supposed to let other people know that or let it show. And so I've had to even fight against the urge to hide that type of truth. So whenever I lay in bed and I'm looking up at the ceiling, I am, you know, some days just saying, I can't do it. I can't make that next move. And sometimes I actually play the song, like it's on my favorites list, because sometimes you just need that one thing that's going to help you to move, that's going to help you to get up. And, you know, I've got an amazing family and support system. I've got a son that, like, you know, told me the other day, like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. And sometimes those hoorahs and those, yeah, girls, go get it, are helpful. But I have to dig deep. I have to dig deep and to think, okay, girlfriend, let's think about what it is that you want to do today that is going to make you feel good. That's going to make you, as Dima and I were talking about, what's going to help you to get back to that point of happiness. And that's why I use the next right thing as a guide, because if I tried to focus on going from 0 to 100 in that moment when I'm laying in bed and just looking up at the ceiling, I'd never make it. I'd never get there. And I would wallow and drown in trying to figure out how to get to 100 immediately. But if I can just make the next steps, move to the bathroom, you know, get to the coffee pot, okay, open up my laptop, you know, talk to my family, whatever that next right thing needs to be that day, it helps me to put the right foot in front of the left foot and keep moving. And you know what? Every time I've done that, my day's gotten better. I may not have reached that level of happiness that I was talking to Dima about, like running on the beach in Ibiza, Spain. But you know what? I can smile that day. I can feel like I helped someone that day. I feel like I can motivate, whether it's my peers or my direct reports or friends and family. And at my core, that's who I am. I'm a helper and a lover of people. Someone that wants to see people achieve great things and to be their best, because people have invested their best into me. And so to know that if I can do the next right thing, I'm going to still be able to do that today. You can't ask me to do much more right there, man. That's gonna get there.
I mean, honestly, you're winning right there at the basic level that most people can't even achieve at the highest level. Sometimes it's tough. Yeah, just acknowledging that is pretty powerful right there. Whitney, you can't do any of this without you mentioned support system. I'm sure you and Dima talked about it, and I'm not trying to take over. Dima, did y'all ask about these special people?
Yeah. I have to say, I love your mom. I am a big fan of your mom. We need to bring her to the show because
did I miss moms tonight?
She is so wonderful. I love her. So, and I'm glad you asked about the support network. Whitney, as you answered that, I want to encourage Rob to get us a drawing that his daughter did recently for Breast Cancer Month.
Yes.
It's so perfect with this. So I think you're going to like it. So go ahead, tell us about your support network.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I feel incredibly fortunate and blessed to have family. My mom, Karen Breaux, shout out mom. I'm sure she's watching. And I have to say, Dima, if I could, just one on this one. Obviously, I've known my mom for 33 years. But when I think about a working professional woman who has inspired and motivated and just gone above and beyond time and time again, not only for me and for my brother, but for so many others. Some days, whenever I'm at my worst, and trust me, it can be bad, I say, be my mom, channel Karen's energy here. She has had in my opinion, one of the most transformative careers in the HR industry here in Baton Rouge and around the state of Louisiana. Those that she has mentored and helped to develop, her impact is felt in so many ways. And she doesn't like recognition. I'm gonna be the first to say that. And then she does not like recognition. But I have seen her work tirelessly for the betterment and for the good of others, not just her kids, but for so many people. And she shined in this moment. I'm single, so I like to always put that out there, anybody's watching. But, whenever you are single and you're going through cancer, my mom was my partner. She was here through everything to help me recover. And I can't thank her enough. And I'm indebted to her. My son is another important piece of my support system. I have to tell you, when we told my son that mommy had breast cancer, his response was priceless. He said, okay, I'm going to trust the doctors are going to do everything that they can to take care of my mom. And then he ran off and practiced his baseball. And I'm like, and I am so happy that this is how you're internalizing this experience. But he's been amazing. My friends and my coworkers, Dima, as you mentioned earlier, to be diagnosed with cancer in a global pandemic is not something that happens every day. And I know that I have been in touch with other people who have been impacted by cancer this year as well. We're really struggling with the distance that has to be created for the protection of our health during the pandemic. We're immunocompromised. We can have negative impacts if we were to contract COVID-19. And for me, being a world traveler, my friends live everywhere, all over the world. And I have been disconnected from them physically, but I've been so blessed that they have remained present with me, even virtually. So I want to give a shout out to everybody out there, my coworkers, from Lily, my friends, my family. From my side, if you haven't heard me say it enough, thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you guys have done this year to help me get to this point where I'm now in remission, which is exciting. Still have some treatment ahead in order to minimize the risk of recurrence. But to me, this was a team effort. I did not get through this alone.
Yeah, I was watching your social media feed and how many people were following and how many people were commenting. It's very powerful, even though it was in a virtual environment, as you said, being isolated, but there were people from all around the world. And I guess that's part of the lesson as well. We were talking about lessons earlier. It is to have a solid network of people that believe in us and want the best for us. Yeah. So Rob, did you find the drawing?
I found it. The easiest way is probably going to be to share my screen.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Here we go. Oh, let me take it off.
Wow.
Wait. Yeah, okay.
So, my daughter, we were doing the Real Men Wear Pink campaign, and I was explaining to her why we were wearing pink, why Daddy was doing this fundraiser a few months back, and it's sort of like that. I don't know, it's that wisdom or it's that spirit of a child that they can process something so quickly, so deeply, and provide you that strength, right? Like your son did. I'm gonna trust the doctors, and then walk away and go play something, and that kind of happened. So I completely relate to that. And my daughter walked away, and I remember her just drawing. I remember, I often hear like the scratches of the pens and the pencils and against the paper. And she came back and just handed this to me and just blew me away, Whitney. Just blew me away. And so I actually got this right at the beginning of the campaign, and I kind of held it back, which for me is tough. I do not do good with surprises. I want to just Christmas. I've already handed out Christmas presents. Like, I can't wait. That's me. And so I kind of held this one close to the chest. And when I had the moment, I wanted to share this with the world. And I wanted to share this with my friends, and definitely with you. I can see you here with that lipstick and that smile, and just powering through. And if, by all means, if you have any green mittens,
look for some of those, because those are hot, honey. Pink is great color.
But look, she gave me some strength to do more and to push further in just my little campaign. And we did great. We almost did 200% of what we were trying to go after. And so I can only imagine what this kind of says to you, Whitney, being a survivor, being here with us tonight. I just want to say thank you for your time and your story and your resolve and your strength and your inspiration. And honestly, for those times where it's just really freaking tough to put the coffee on. Thanks for even talking about that, because some people don't talk about it. I'm sorry, but a lot of those tough things that you feel or that you come to as an adult, you hear about that parents and adults just really didn't expose you to that. So for you to bring this up and to talk about how hard this can be, allows someone else to speak about it, allows someone else to do something more with their day. And hell, that might allow them to get that second cup, which we all need. Some of us just need to get going in the morning.
You got that right. You got that right.
I got to say, I was really excited for this show, and I was really saddened when I only get a chance to experience 15 minutes of it.
No word. Thank you so much for sharing, Rob. I mean, that's, they say out of the mouths of babes. And I mean, even in their artistic expressions, I think that sometimes the little people around us have some of the most pure views of what we are experiencing as adults. I know I continue to talk to my son about what is he feeling and experiencing during everything that's happening this year with 2020. And I think that their appreciation and their perspective can sometimes, help us a lot. So thank you so much for sharing, and kudos to the artiste. She's got a talent there.
Got to say thanks to Dima for feeding that talent too. When you talk about your support systems, I got to say really quick, thank you, Dima. Love you, my friend. Dima showed up to something that was special to me a few weeks ago, and I didn't expect to see her. But then she blew me away when she is feeding the talent of that little artiste, and she sent over a nice box of like 784 colored pencils that get scattered along the carpet and the floor and the counter, and that just means more art and more love. So
exaggerated. It was 174 different colors. Yeah,
she's got good colors to choose from.
Yeah. So we have a wonderful comment. I don't see the name, but I have a feeling this is Karen. So let's put the comment. And I have a feeling that this is your mommy.
Looks like mom.
It sounds like mom.
It does. And love mom and Wit, for those who it's short. That's what my friends and family, they all call me Wit. And so kind of my hashtag and my rally cry was, Wit fights like a tiger throughout my cancer experience. And I certainly fought like our 2019 LSU Tigers.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Dima, for sharing and for the opportunity to share. And like I said, anyone can follow Day18 on Instagram or on Twitter at Day18 campaign. We've got 9 days left before the 18th day of December. So if you've not done so already, take out that phone, set a reminder to perform your self-breast exam. And of course, tell the women that you love to do the same. And with that, early detection is going to help save lives. I know that for sure. So I hope that others will join me in the fight to save lives in the fight against breast cancer.
I am so inspired. Thank you, my friend. I'm so grateful for you. I love you. And thanks for everything you shared. We can't wait to bring you back to the show. So after a few months, we would love to hear about your continuous journey as well.
Would love to do it. Please, anytime. Would love to do it.
Whitney, it has been fabulous to get to know you these few minutes. I knew I was going to love you and like you before I had this chance, just with the amount of friends in my circle that were saying they were in yours. And honestly, the recurring theme was how inspiring, motivational you are, what this beacon of light and strength that you are, and how you share that. I knew I was going to be really honored to meet you, and I am. So thank you for sharing everything with us today. I'm so glad to have met you finally. And look, let's keep it up. I would love to have you back for another show so I can get more of Wit. And I need to meet moms.
Oh gosh. Would love to do it. Thanks so much, Rob and Dima, for the opportunity. Looking forward to doing it again soon.
Sounds great. Okay,
Awesome.
Rob, you want to close the show?
All right, let's do it. That's my cue. That's my call. All right. Thank you, Whitney. We appreciate it. And stay safe, my friend.
Thank you kindly.
All right. That's it for us, everybody. Me and Dima, we love us some good guests. We had a high caliber and quality guest tonight with Whitney. But look, we're not expecting anything less. If you know a great speaker, community leader, or someone with a great story to tell, we want to know. Just tag or post them in the comments so we can get them on our show. And that's about it for now, everybody. Thank you for watching. This has been a special one. And look, stay safe, mask up, and happy holidays from Dima and Rob.